All right, well, welcome everybody. This is a presentation put on through New Mexico Connected Communities Collaborative, which is a mouthful. You can also just say NMC3. We're here to think about some interactive online tools, and the tool we're specifically going to be looking at today is Desmos. And I thought we'd start just getting to know each other a little bit and also thinking about student engagement as we're in this world of online teaching. A lot of changes since last spring, and we continue to adapt and roll with it and pivot because that's what educators do. So as you're going through these slides in this activity, which is a Desmos activity, I want you to think about student engagement and be kind of thinking about your own class and how you might do an activity like this to help with student engagement so that you guys can actually work with it. So I'm hoping that the majority of our time remaining after we learn a little bit more about Teacher Desmos and Desmos is for you all to experience that make and take, right? That's what we used to love about PL is we would actually make something and be able to use it in our classroom. So I am going to ask that you activate or sign up for a Teacher Desmos when we get to that point, if you don't have one already. We're going to find a starter screen activity that we can modify or edit or copy or use in our classroom. And the goal is to be able to use it in our classroom in the next 2 weeks, right? If it's something that we put a deadline on, we're actually going to do it. And then hopefully we'll have some time to share out our final products, the things that we've made, the things that we've struggled with, and the things that we're excited about. All right, I'm going to go ahead and copy this link. This is a link to a student Desmos activity. I've changed the title slightly. Don't be alarmed if you see that. We're going to take about 5 minutes to answer the prompts in the slides. And again, as you're going through the slides, I want you to kind of think about the variety of slides that you're interacting with and how this might help or support student engagement in your classroom. It's going to show you a screen where you can sign in with Google. If you have an account already, you're welcome to do that, but you can also just continue without signing in, and that's really the easiest way. So if I do that, I'm going to continue without signing in, hit go, and it's going to take me to the first slide as a student. I'm going to expand my screen here a little bit so that you can see. For operating purposes, this is the next button that you'll use to scroll through the different slides. There's a total of 7 slides. Desmos is really just a calculator, and that's where I first learned about it as a classroom teacher. I had a classroom set of amazing and beautiful TI-85s. Any of my middle school math teachers out there? I had like one TI-85 to share between 2 students, and as the year wore on, it was like one TI-85 to share between 4 students. So I needed graphing calculators, and so I would check out the iPad cart, and Desmos was this really nice online free graphing calculator. They've got graphing calculators, scientific calculators, for function, and it's free. And it was pretty user-friendly. Some of the other apps were less user-friendly for my kiddos, and so I really like Desmos for that. Somewhere along the line, Desmos turned into also Teacher Desmos, and I'm not exactly sure if that was response to the virtual learning environment and what changed and shifted in spring of last year. But Teacher Desmos emerged, and what it is it's this collection of really great activities. They're mostly math-based, but it's also growing. It's been growing within the last kind of year that I've been playing with Teacher Desmos. So I'm going to honor Teacher Desmos, and we're going to watch the little 1-minute advertisement, which kind of gives their version of what they are. And while I'm doing that as well, here is the link for Teacher Desmos.
Welcome to teacher.desmos.com. At Desmos, our mission is to help every student learn math and love learning math. With that in mind, we've assembled a collection of unique and engaging digital activities. Whether building informal language into academic vocabulary, exploring the relationship between graphs and the situations they represent, or investigating how parameters in an equation affect the graph, you'll find hundreds of activities designed to engage students in mathematically rich tasks in truly delightful ways. And not only that, with the built-in teacher dashboard, you can see student answers in real time, giving you valuable insight for helping individual students and facilitating class-wide discussions. With our featured activities, content bundles, and search features, we make it easy to find just what you're looking for. And best of all, everything you see at teacher.desmos.com is free. Seriously. So sign up, sign in, and start exploring today.
As a former classroom teacher, the most exciting thing to me about that entire commercial was everything is free. I like that. And everything has remained free. I know a lot of things have shifted now that we're moving from virtual learning or into hybrid learning, and they're saying, well, now that you love us, it's going to cost you something. So far, everything is free, and it really does open up a lot of opportunities. Some pros and cons of Teacher Desmos that they were talking about is you get this great teacher dashboard. We're going to go look at that in a moment. And you have all these pre-made activities. If you teach something other than math, there's not as many activities out there, but don't worry because like I said, they're building and they're growing. And as more people are logging into Teacher Desmos, they're building activities and they're sharing them publicly on their site as well. It's upper elementary to high school, although I did have some first grade teachers on this presentation last night and they're like, we can use this. So there's a lot of possibilities and that's what I'm excited to explore with you all. Let's go ahead and look at that teacher dashboard. I want to go behind the curtain here for a moment for you all. And so I'm going to stop this type of share and I'm going to go to a regular big old share. So I wanted to show you what I was seeing when you all were working. And I'm going to go out of here. So as you all were working, I'm going to go ahead and anonymize us because we're a group of teachers that may know each other or may not. And maybe we're a little embarrassed to see our answers up on the screen. So I've gone and I'm going to boop, boop, quick anonymized us so that we have all of these fabulous aliases here so that I can show the screens and not give too much away. Of course, that one gives our names. But look at this fabulous art that you all have done that show us and tell us a little bit about you. And so I included this slide mostly because I wanted you to know that younger students can draw their answers in Teacher Desmos, and older students too. I actually had a lot of fun with this slide when I was drawing, and I hope you all did too. Wow, that's like, those are some straight lines. Cynthia, well done. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunity, and imagine the classroom discussions you have, right, when you bring this up on the screen. You can also just highlight individual students. That's the summary. Let me go to students. Here we go. If I want to just look closely at Cynthia's work there, I can click on it and I can see her work. And then also just scroll through and see how she did on the rest of it. One of the things I love too about the graph feature, so if we include a graph in our presentation and in our questions to our students, I can see their individual responses like so, but I can also overlay to get a quick snapshot of where my class is as a whole and look for trends. So when we're thinking about social emotional learning, that's a great tool to be able to get a quick snapshot into our kiddos and in our other subjects as well. And again, we see student responses here. And one of the things that you can do with your activities with Desmos is you can decide whether or not you want to have students see other student responses or you want their responses private. So that's an option that you have as a teacher. I'm going to pick one of these at random. It looks like we've had some folks go here. This is a great activity that you can build also, a card sort. So you just build the cards, and I'm going to move that there and then put it back for the student. But it again allows you to see how they're sorting different activities. And then I can see where that student responded there. Here we have the most important question of the entire activity. There's a food between two breads. It is a hot dog. My kids would say so. I would probably agree there. And it looks like if I'm looking at, most of us are trending towards the agree that a hot dog is a sandwich. I was not expecting that. As you all were working, you'll see that we've got blue over here. This is where most of us ended. And I can see that there's some that are grayed out and then some that have dots and some that don't. The ones that have dots means that that student responded. The ones here, which it's grayed out, it's they visited it, but they didn't have time to answer. So that might be a student that I check in with. or have a conversation with. I could have also paused everything right here because I'm giving this very important lecture and I don't want you working on these slides while that's happening. And so that's a way to keep the students from working ahead if they're doing an activity like this synchronously. So that's a really nice feature as well. All right. I'm going to head back to a little bit more behind the curtain. Pros and cons. Great activities, things that you can adapt. One of the cons is if you want to build an activity like this from scratch, I have to admit, it's pretty challenging. Michelle and I had this conversation. Desmos uses its own language. It's even beyond coding language. It's Desmos language. And so the hack we would like to suggest for teachers starting out with Desmos is find the type of screens that you like, find the activities that kind of mimic or mirror what you want your students to do. Copy those screens. If I go to this starter screen here and I think, what could I do with my students? I need to do a little check-in with them. There's the starter screen for checking in. I like this. Let's check it out. I'm going to go ahead and look at it. I'm going to copy and edit this whole activity. And I like this one. How are you feeling today? That one's pretty general. And it's going to show the students their classmates' responses.
And Allie, I'm going to jump in here. I think what's cool there too is you get like the innards get revealed to you there, right? Like you see the boxes you can use and choose.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I work with younger kiddos, so I'm just going to put in a multiple choice, right? Too. I'm going to put in good and not so good. Right? And I can add these by using my menu over here. Then I go to this, what's new? That's going to be too hard for my students to answer. It's kind of open-ended. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that screen out of there. I don't want it. Same thing here. I like this, but I don't want there to be an additional component of text input. I'm going to get rid of that. Now what I want to do is I want to make this my own. I'm going to say Miss Conway's screens for checking in. I'm going to make it a link that anyone can view. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go ahead and publish it. And now it's in my custom collections. But before I go there, I want to show you that I can assign it to my classes if I've set up a class in Desmos. But really, I'm just going to use it as a single session code. I got some great insight from teachers that I was working with yesterday that they kind of organize their collections and with custom codes for each of their sections. So if you're teaching multiple sections, that's one way to do it. They kind of have that. So think about how you might organize it best for you. And then I'm going to drop this in the chat. And
wait. I have a real question. What do you mean? Wait, so you have, like, if you have period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can make different codes and not get that mixed up.
Yes.
You, Allie.
Thank you for that clarifying question.
I was like, I think this is what she means.
So now here is that student Desmos. Any of my students in my Zoom or that I email ahead of time that I want them to complete this assignment can now complete Ms. Conway's screens for checking in. So I'm going to return back to our facilitator copy here. Go into present. And this last bullet, I wanted to make sure that I touched on that because this is something that Michelle and I have been exploring with a lot, is this can collaborate with other teachers. So if you and your department or you and your teacher across the hall want to build some activities together, you can share that activity with your colleague that has a Desmos account, and then you can work on it together and also share it together. So that's a really nice feature as well. I want to get you all exploring and moving and doing some things on your own here now with Teacher Desmos. That's the most important thing. So if you have not already, your first step is to activate or sign up for a Teacher Desmos account. It takes just a few seconds. Make sure you write down your password somewhere. Find a starter screen activity, which is my suggestion to you all. Those are kind of simple ones to kind of look at and start modifying. Or if you know you have a math-based activity, if you're a math teacher coming up in the next few weeks, you can look there as well. Find something that's going to be useful for you, edit and adapt it to your needs, just so that you didn't miss it. If you were working, there were some great things some folks discovered in Teacher Desmos as well while they were playing, particularly around languages. So there's a little globe. Let's go over here into the Desmos screen. If I put up over here, this little globe, you can select a language. So then I would assume then for searching, it helps you. And then the alternative is, if you don't select there, if you're just looking at different activities, let's say I click on this, if there's a translation, it'll be listed in this space over here. So that's a place to look as well. But very important for our communities. I want you to be thinking about what are the benefits for you as a teacher to use Teacher Desmos, and particularly how might it ramp up that student engagement? I know that's on a lot of teachers' minds. That's the conversations that Michelle and I are having with teachers all over the state of New Mexico right now. And then what are potential challenges for you to work around? And so if you've got a colleague on this call tonight, or you know other folks that might be interested in playing around, get a partner and play with Teacher Desmos. It's a great thing to do to learn this new tech tool. Thank you all so much for being here, for taking time out of your day